All right, I know what you're saying. All this fancy talk about horror movies is neat and all, but when do we get to see the monster? Well, you're in luck, you sickos. Horror may come from the imagination, but the monster comes from a warehouse in North Hollywood. And it's the masters of makeup that bring them to life. Now, one of the greatest monsters ever was created right before our eyes in John Landis's An American Werewolf in London. A movie that sparked a revolution and showed us like never before that horror was indeed changing.
My generation that got interested, people like Dennis Murin, who now runs ILM, or Rick Baker, these guys had a love for the genre. And there's this weird change. It starts in the early 70s and works its way through, which was, you always saw these low-budget, shitty movies, but they were pretty well scripted, pretty well acted, pretty well directed, until you cut to the bad rubber monster, because they had no money to spend on that. Or you'd cut to the rocket ship, which would go, you know. Then starting in the 70s, New World Pictures and stuff, suddenly with people like Rob Bottin and Rick Baker and you know, these new, I'm trying to think, Craig Reardon, there's so many of them. Phil Tippett. I mean, these incredibly craftspeople coming up. You had this weird thing, which was bad movies, poorly made, but fantastic monsters. The monsters were great. The rocket ships were so slick, you know. It was just weird. And now, because of Lucas and Spielberg, the Jaws and Star Wars phenomenon, suddenly B pictures are now A pictures. Now, there is no such thing as B product. It's all crap.
Yeah, horror movies are what got me into this. I mean, you know, like I said earlier, the Universal horror movies, especially all the great work that Jack Pierce once did, was what inspired me to make monsters for a living. Basically, that's what I wanted to do, is be the monster maker. We have some stuff from a movie that's I'm very fond of, which is An American Werewolf in London. I first found out about American Werewolf in London when I was doing Schlock, which was John Landis' first film.
Schlock! So I wanted to make a low-budget movie about low-budget movies. And it was my great good fortune to find Rick Baker, actually. So I was 21 and he was 20, and for 60,000 bucks, half of which was mine, the other half we got from relatives, my relatives and people, we made Schlock.
John played the Schlock-thropus, a missing link type character.
Partly to save money, which was my real reason, and then partly because Schlock, the evolution of that project is that my original intention was to have a pretty bad gorilla suit. And when I saw Rick's stuff, which is, you know, this kid with long hair, his models on the walls, his work was so superior. This guy was so obviously an artist and so good that suddenly Schlock, now I look at the movie, and as bad as it is, I mean, the thing that works in it is Schlock, you know, and it works because Rick, his makeup, you could do such expressive stuff. And I wanted a particular kind of performance, and, you know, all the actors were amateurs, and so I figured, fuck it, I'll be Schlock. Because, no, I don't think anyone else would have sat through that makeup, dude. The demands on that makeup were ridiculous, because even if I didn't appear as the monster until the afternoon, Rick and I still had to get up at 2 in the morning, and he had 4 hours putting it on, and then I directed as this ape all day, you know.
And John was telling me that his next film was going to be this film that he'd already written at that time. He was 21 years old. His next film was going to be An American Werewolf in London.
I gave him the script in 1971, so he had a long time. I mean, we made the movie in 81. And so he had a long time to think about it.